Two huge victories. What does this mean for you personally? What does this mean for European citizens?
Well, I think it's a very important step towards tax justice that Apple now actually have to pay the 13 billion euros to the Irish states. I think that shows European citizens that actually once in a while tax justice can take place. And it's important to me as well. I'm very, very happy with this win.
I can totally imagine. And I guess, we never stop thinking about what's next as well. You do have a fourth case against Google on the ad tech business. I think I'm right that previously you've suggested a resolution to this could be a breakup. I mean, do you see that as the resolution that's going to need to happen? Is that the only way forward on that case?
Well, of course, it may be that we are not, using all our imagination. But the thing is that there is an inherent conflict of interest because Google earns the marketplace, it earns the seller, it earns the buyer who uses this marketplace. So it's difficult for us to see any other solution. Of course, we open ears, but the case is very, very advanced. Let's see what decision we can reach.
And then, looking back over the past 10 years, you've been in this role as the head of the competition for 10 years. In that time, you've had huge cases, you've had, huge pieces of regulation that have, caused at times pushback, particularly from big tech companies, from former President Donald Trump. How have you dealt with these kind of sometimes fractious relationships, yourself personally?
Well, I've tried not to make it personal because I think it comes with the job. You need to be able to do a job also when people do not agree with you, also when people are aggressive towards you, because otherwise it's not possible. And of course also my responsibility to push because the world is changing. So, we look a lot more now at innovation. In our cases, would we lose innovation? Can innovation be enabled? So it has been a process of renewal, and I think that is really, really important. Also, when people disagree with you, that you try to push on.
And the world is changing. I think it is very interesting to bring up because, of course, we have had this report from Mario Draghi. We've had previously the report from Enrico Letta, and there is talk, even kind of harder push from others around loosening state aid rules or, allowing more mergers to kind of boost European companies or create European champions. What do you think of that? Do you see risks in that approach?
Well, I think from what I have read so far in the Draghi report, actually he calls for ending temporary state aid rules. He's asking for a prudent state aid approach, but for more European approach, which is what we have in what we call important projects of common European interest. We have 10 of those projects, a total of private and public investment, more than 100 billion euros. So I think that is a very important push because we have faced the acute crises of the pandemic, war, energy crisis, but the slow crisis of the eroding of our competitiveness is something that needs to be faced head on. So I really hope that the Draghi report, the Letta report will make us focus, making the single market work, have more people use their talent, have capital made available for businesses who want to scale. So I think it's a very important time of the European Union to be able to solve also the slowly emerging crisis of eroding of competitiveness. Now when we have showed that the acute crises, they can actually be solved.
And I guess, does that also call for any kind of paradigm shift in competition policy, or do you see this, continuing under your successor as you have, led the competition policy of the Commission?
Well, we have renewed quite a number of things. So we have a much more thorough look at innovation. We have made it clear how do we look at markets, because of course more markets become global. How can we assess that? We have prepared the ground to look at the regulation that governs how we look at abuse of dominant position. So there are quite a number of things that has been renewed, and we have sort of paved the way for, I think, better administration, better access to file. So there will be plenty of work for my successor to do.
I don't doubt it. And then I guess just a final reflection on these judgments today. I mean, you mentioned in the press conference that you were brought to tears, I think, by the judgments. I mean, do you feel, is this a kind of vindication coming at the end of your term of, of your work over the past 10 years?
Well, I think you need to, of course, own your victories, but you also own your defeats. And we have had both. And hopefully that shows that we are willing to push the envelopes, also sometimes to take a risk in order to try to make sure that the market serves the consumer and that we are not just small pawns or meat for the machine. And I hope that is what people take down from today's judgment, both that we won the Google case and it's final, and we won the Apple case and it's final.
Commissioner, thank you very much for joining us on Bloomberg TV.